So, Shannon, do you agree with Michael Irvin?
No. I love Mike. Mike be out his mind. Mike say this every year. I remember last year, 2019, they blow out the Eagles on Sunday night. Michael Irvin says, this is the kind of game, a division rival, you beat the brakes off them. Lost his voice talking about that one. In 2016, the Dallas Cowboys goes to Lambeau Field, beat the brakes off the Green Bay Packers. Michael Irvin and Skip Bayless tell me this is the time for game. Michael Irvin said, the Giants, I forget what year it was, Tony Romo spins out of a sack, hit Jason Witten for the game-winning touchdown with 3 seconds on the clock. This is the type of game that can lock the Cowboys. Cowboys haters.
You do that pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. Skip, so he's been saying this. Michael retired. Last year was 99. He retired in 2000. Michael's been saying the same BS for 20 years. And he's been wrong for 20 years. Now, eventually, Skip Bayless, he's going to be right. Because if I play the lottery long enough, I'm going to hit eventually. So, no. Skip, granted, playing with John Elway after having see what he had done up close and personal, but what he had done in the playoffs. The drive had happened. Shannon was in high school.
I know.
So,
at Cleveland.
At Cleveland. So he had done it so many times in the playoffs. Obviously, in the regular season, you're like, well, hell, if he can do this on the road in a playoff game, you know what he can do at home, Skip. You know what he can do in a regular season game. So that builds confidence. Dak is going to have to do something like this in a playoff game, Skip. Yes, they believe that Dak can win ball games. I believe Dak teammates have always believed in him. That's why they think he deserves his money, whatever he's asking for. But also, Skip, the other team looks at it like, hold on. They gave up a whole bunch of points. We can kind of get what we want against them. You saw what the Rams did? Because it's not just one-sided, Skip.
Nope.
Michael is just looking at it from an offensive standpoint and them scoring 40 points.
Yep.
But you gave up 39, and you didn't take the ball away. The Rams did a number on you in your building. So, I mean, not in your building, you came out the SoFi.
Yep.
So other teams are looking at your defense like, they looking their chops like, hey, we can have our way. So it just doesn't work one side of the equation. But Michael is just it was a big win, no question about that, Skip. But I can assure you, having come back, I don't ever recall looking back like, man, you remember that game we came back against Kansas City, that game we came back against Raiders? It's gonna come in handy this week. That's not how my mind worked. Maybe it is. That's normally it works like that on the outside. It never works like that on the inside. So no, I do not believe that was the game that's gonna catapult them into greatness.
So, Shannon Sharpe was a leader of 3 teams that won Super Bowls.
Yes.
Michael Irvin was the leader of 3 Cowboy teams that won Super Bowls, and it should have been 5, maybe, conservatively. 5.
It could have.
Obviously, Jerry ended up firing Jimmy after 2.
Appreciate that, Jimmy.
Yeah, there we go. Took you off the hook.
Oh, we got him, Skip. They couldn't do that with our offense.
I totally disagree with that. So, I covered the Cowboy dynasty of the 90s, and I've always told you that the leader of that team, the man that you wanted in your foxhole, in your locker room, on your sideline, in your huddle, was Michael Irvin. When he speaks, I do listen. He gets a little bombastic. He gets full of himself. He is a blast just to watch, just to watch it. He's a performer.
But Skip, he talks like he's in the locker room, he's playing. He could do that when he was playing.
He could do that, and that was contagious. That energy was contagious for the 90s teams. And look, for those out there who, what about him off the field? He had big issues off the field.
Yes.
I'm just talking about on the field. He was the man for that Cowboy team. Beyond Troy, beyond Emmett, beyond Charles Haley, he was the leader of that team. They went as Michael went.
Yes.
Okay, so he's exactly right about this part. All the Cowboy haters, they were all ready. They were licking their chops, led by Shannon Sharpe.
Yes.
And it was, he said, Michael agreed and admitted publicly, we rose from the dead. I was writing my eulogy. He was already preparing, how do you defend this, like in public, because it's pretty indefensible.
Correct, yes.
Okay, but he concludes, it was an incredible win. It was a win I didn't think they had in them. They showed me something different. Okay, I co-signed that. I didn't think they could win the game either. I'm at least as big a Cowboy fan as Michael Irvin is. And yet, in the end, as improbable as it was, as much as Atlanta lost it more than Dallas won it, something happened. that I cannot explain. And by the way, my quarterback then had to cash the opportunity,
Right.
and he did.
Yes.
And the field goal kicker had to cash in the opportunity, the new guy from the Rams, obviously, Greg the Leg Zuerlein, and he cashed it in. And I agree with Michael that when he says, when you have a game like this, the aroma stays in your nostrils all year long because it's a miracle, man. And it makes you feel like, is this meant to be? Is this our time? Are we going to take off from here?
So is that same aroma in your nostril when the other opposing team is going up and down the field on your defense? Is that in your nostrils? Or what about your special teams? Can't get on fourth down. They get snuffed out twice.
Okay.
Is that in your nostrils?
But what did you tell me about the Cowboy defense on Sunday? It actually played pretty well in the second half because it was 29-10 at halftime.
Only gave up 10 points.
And they gave up 10 points, and they had a couple of sort of stops. At least you hold them to a field goal,
yes.
right? Okay.
In the first half, that was huge.
It was huge. Okay. So do I like? I don't like my defense. DeMarcus Lawrence, you've been all over him. He's got a knee issue. He hasn't practiced all week. I don't even know if he's going to play. Awuzie, who he can cover, but he can't catch. He's like another clone of
Byron Jones.
Byron Jones, who went to Miami. It's like you got to be able to get your hands on the football. But Awuzie has gone now with a hamstring. It sounds like a tear. Okay.
Trayvon Diggs was nicked.
He was nicked, but I think he's going to play.
Okay.
And Jordan Lewis, I still like him. He's going to have to start now. He's all the way. Anthony Brown is gone. So they're pretty decimated. And guess who's off the scrap heap? Remember used car?
Used car, right, yeah.
Used car?
He on the practice squad, Skip.
Well, I don't know if he's going to be elevated and activated. I don't know. He might have to be because it might be all they have
He
right
got
now.
he got one of those contracts, Skip. He's on the practice squad, $12,000 a week, and then they call you up. Josh McCown got that same deal in Philly. He's coaching in Texas.
Okay.
They call him up.
And what have I campaigned for, really, for 2 years? For Earl Thomas. You say no because he's just caused so many issues with Seattle and obviously with Baltimore also. But would I like to have Earl Thomas Sunday at Seattle, going back to the scene of the quote-unquote crime,
I mean, think about it, Skip. Think about with all the injuries that they got going on, they still have said no.
They have still said no. And it's significant. I buy that. I would have said yes. And especially for this week, I would have said yes. Okay, so here's my gut feeling on this game. I still have this weird, crazy, maybe Atlanta-fueled feeling.
Haze.
Yeah, maybe it's a haze. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just complete delusion that my offense can outscore Russell Wilson's extremely potent offense. At least the stadium is empty. If they had their 12th man in place, if they had their however many 70,000 fans, probably not. But this time, it's a little bit of a mausoleum in there. It's a little bit like too quiet.
Yes.
And you saw what Cam did on their defense. He threw for almost 400 yards, which shocked everybody. Well, you don't think my quarterback could throw for 400-ish? He threw for 450 against Atlanta. I think he can have another one of those clinic days. He put on a clinic against Atlanta. Again, you can say, coming from behind, they're playing it a little looser. They're not up.
He did it.
Yeah, he did it. And he executed decision after decision, accurate throw after accurate throw.
He did.
He had no turnovers. Wow. Usually you get desperate, you try things you shouldn't try, and they pick off a couple of passes that end your miraculous comeback. Okay? So now I'm saying if you can duplicate that kind of passing attack against a Seattle defense that's pretty decimated also. Bruce Irvin was, I think, their best edge rusher.
Right.
He's gone. Their best nickel corner is gone. And it just seems like they're all, I looked at their injury report, and it's got like 20 guys on it. So I don't know. That was a big Sunday night battle against Cam and the Patriots. Can you get back up for the Cowboys in time? I'm going to do the same score. I'm going to pick the same score as they just miraculously survived Atlanta. I'm going Dallas 40-39 over Seattle.
Well, I'm with you in the high scoring. I got the Seahawks winning 34-30 because right now Russ is playing out of his mind.
He is.
And Skip, he got weapons. DK Metcalf, give him another year or two, you're going to be talking about him as a top 5 receiver because he's a big, I'm talking about, 6'3.5", 6'4", 240, can run. You got Lockett.
Well,
they got Moore. Skip, they're loaded at talent. And they're looking at, hold on, did you see what Calvin Ridley did? Did you see what Justin Gage did? Julio was nicked, or he could have had a big